is up, everybody? Welcome out to our Wednesday night live stream. We got a good show lined up for you all with a tattoo artist whose name is Ralph Johnstone. I was introduced to Ralph while I was at the Lyle Tuttle exhibit. Obviously, I was introduced to him, but I was introduced to his work at the Lyle Tuttle exhibit. And, I really, really liked his flash. To be fair, I would say it's probably in my top 5. That's how much I liked it. So I thought, you know what? He would be a great episode to cover on one of our Wednesday night live streams. Here we are. Hopefully we have a decent crowd tonight. I already see a couple people already hanging out with us, which is great. Good to see. I love it. I do have some very important stuff that I want to talk to you all about first, before we get into the Ralph Johnstone information. And, I'm super amped to share this with you guys. Whether you're here listening to me right now or you're going to listen to this later, this is definitely for you. I figured it would be the perfect time to do this. We finally did it. We hit 3,000 subscribers. And in all honesty, if it wasn't for you, wouldn't even be here. So I really wanted to thank you all for doing that, being a part of our family, and super grateful and honored. To be honest with you, when I started this, man, I really didn't think I was going to get 1,000 subscribers. And here we are at 3,000. And, man, it means a lot to me. It means that you guys put your faith into me, and I appreciate it. Again, I want to thank each and every one of you for helping me get to that 3,000 subscriber mark. We're actually past that now, but, I figured tonight was a good night to thank everybody and, give my thanks. And also, thank you to Sarah for the $5 super chat, starting it off right off the bat. Much appreciated as always. And thank you for the congratulations. I mean, it means a lot. So, like I said, it's a huge milestone for me in this channel. I didn't think anybody was going to be into it when I first started this, so here we are. But I want to actually show you a picture. This is my own personal picture. Drag it still awake. Good to see you, brother. I'm going to share this with you real quick because it's actually the reason why I'm doing this tonight. This is going to be my own personal picture. Sorry, hit the wrong one. But this is the picture I took at the Lyle Tuttle exhibit of some Ralph Johnstone flash. I love the look of it. I love the look of it being almost like comic character-esque. I don't know how else to put it. His flash just stands out. I didn't really understand why until I dug into who Ralph Johnstone really was. And then I also found out something pretty interesting that I will share with you all tonight about Ralph and his family, which is mind-blowing to me. It's very cool when a couple different things start to kind of interact with each other. And this is going to definitely be one of those cases. But I figured I'd start this episode off with you seeing the picture that kind of started me down this journey with Ralph. Pretty cool piece of flash, man. So let's get into it, man. Ralph Ernest Johnstone, also known as Sailor Russ, was a prominent tattoo artist and flash painter, particularly revered in Chicago tattoo history. He was born on June 10th of 1904 in Germany, and he passed away November 14th, 1960 in Chicago, Illinois. He was only 56 years old when he passed. Now, the Chicago thing is going to be of some significance once we get a little bit further down into this. So I think you'll understand why once we get there. Johnstone's early life included studying art in Germany, which provided him with the formal childhood art training. So he had some type of schooling prior to becoming a tattoo artist. This formal training was not widely known within the tattoo community, but an oil painting from 1937 depicting an opium den scene demonstrated the depth of his artistic education. His father, now this is one of the cool, probably I think is the coolest part of this, and I didn't know any of this before I went down this rabbit hole. His father was a famous vaudeville bicycle acrobat and an aviator for the Wright brothers. Yes, the Wright brothers. The guys that, created modern day flying. Obviously, there was other attempts prior to that, but we're not going to get into that. We're not an airplane channel. I should say aeronautical. But I thought that was really cool that he had some type of tie to the Wright brothers just because that's who his father was. He was also friends with Harry Houdini, the famous musician and escape artist. Houdini even announced Ralph Jr.'s birth in his magazine column on November 26, 1904. So, not only was his dad this famous aviator, but he was also traveled in some pretty big circles to the point where he was friends with Harry Houdini. Pretty awesome. And then on top of that, he got a phenomenal education in Germany where he was taught art. So there you go. Ralph Ernest Johnstone was considered one of the great tattooists and flash painters of his era. His flash designs were noted for their unique quality of composition, style, and color. Johnstone's exceptional skills in both tattoo application and flash designs distinguished him from his contemporaries. His influence extended beyond tattooing to include sideshows and carnival art, with his talents recognized by fellow artists and carnival operators. Now, before we go any further with this, I think it's good to note some of his flash because I just read you the part where they talked about him painting carnival and sideshow banners. If you look really close at this flash, you can see the influence. It has that look to it. I just love the bold lines, the bright, vibrant colors. Maybe the subject matter is not something I'd be into, but the style and the look of it is really what caught my eye at the Lyle Tuttle exhibit. I mean, there was 50 different artists hanging on the wall, all listed on who they were: Stoney St. Clair, Lyle Tuttle, Burt Grimm. I mean, there was the who's who of flash hanging on the wall. And for some reason, my eyes drifted right to that Ralph Johnstone flash that he had. And those were the only ones that I saw there at that exhibit that day. So that was really my only reference of flash until I started to dig into this. I actually dug into the flash part of it, probably within the first month of me going to that Lyle Tuttle exhibit. So my obsession with his flash has gone on from then, and that was the New York City TatCon. So that was over a year ago, or close to it anyway. I'm horrible with dates and times, so. But yeah, here's some more of his flash. Now, I did find on Gravefinder where that gorilla skull or monkey skull in the middle is on his gravestone. And we're going to get into his gravestone towards the end of this because that's another cool story within itself. It's not your typical, just gravestone. So let me shrink that back down. We got some more of his flash here. Dabbled in some of the Oriental work as well. I would say a majority of the stuff I saw was American traditional. Uh, Here's another cool set of flash that was on sale, actually on eBay, and it wasn't cheap. It was going for a pretty good amount of money. Let's just say that. Um, you know, again, fantastic flash, and this is the picture that drew me in right off the bat. This is why we're here tonight digging into Ralph Johnstone. Now, let's get back into the details. So, in the late 1950s, he returned to Chicago and collaborated with Tatts Thomas. Tatts Thomas, another legendary tattoo artist who also paved the way for quite a few different tattoo artists. So, legendary status. The Chicago scene was starting to really take off, and him and Tatts Thomas start to work together. They worked up until Ralph Johnstone's death in 1960. And, these were two talented artists that worked together and collaborated. Now, there was a time where there was some confusion between Ralph Johnstone and Ralph Johnson. And I found this tonight. I thought this was pretty interesting. So let me go back to this scene real quick. I am actually going to share this for you. Boom. So, the Tale of Two Ralphs. This was found on the Lucky Supply page. On the left, Ralph Johnstone with a sheet of his flash. Ralph Johnson on the right with a sheet of his flash. It talks in here about, and this props to Great Lakes Tattoo and the LS Tattoo Museum for supplying these pictures and this information. But it talks about how they were mistaken for each other for a short time. And Ralph Johnson was known to have worked in circuses and sideshows, and he frequented Long Beach, California in the 1950s, as a few flash sheets have turned up in that area. Allegedly, he was constantly mixed up with the aforementioned Johnstone, and there was even a mention that photos exist of both Ralphs together, possibly during their circus days. A book published by Lyle Tuttle entitled The Tattoo Art of Mystery Legend R. Johnson, Volume 1, is the most history of Ralph Johnson, that I could find. The book, appropriately titled as R. Johnson, is such an enigma that I could not even find the spelling of his first name in articles published online. One thing that I find most curious is that R. Johnson has many more signed flash sheets in circulation than Johnstone, even though there was seemingly less written and known about him. So pretty interesting, though, that there was some type of mix-up happening back in the day. Now, the information I have is we talked about him working in Long Beach, California. Allegedly, Ralph Johnstone and Ralph Johnston were constantly mixed up. And then it talks about the possibility of there being a picture circulating somewhere. I couldn't find it. So that would be pretty cool to find if it's out there somewhere in the interwebs. But so Ralph Johnstone was initially buried without a grave marker. And this is pretty cool. And then what I'll do is I'll actually do a Google search for you, and I'll pull up that image. But in 2015, Nick Colella of Great Lakes Tattoo graciously purchased one for him. So how cool is that, man? I mean, if you're looking for other information about his life, the Tattoo Archives has Life and Time series where they cover Johnstone. And then the book that we just talked about by Lyle Tuttle is also out there. Just looking here real quick, it's Life and Times Ralph E. Johnstone, published in 2015 by Tattoo Archive. Tells his story with black and white and color photographs, business cards, and flash. So if you're interested in checking that out, I would highly suggest going and grabbing that. What's up, Dandy Dick? Good to see you, man. From Virginia. Awesome. Welcome in. Good to see everybody hanging with us tonight. One of the other pieces that I wanted to go over was the collaboration between Ralph Johnstone and Tatts Thomas. What's up, Gibby? Gibby from Conquest hanging out tonight. But let's go over some more of these pictures real quick, so it's not all just me, reading off the data that I have. Here is a good picture of Ralph Johnstone, and this was found. Carmen Nassine had these pictures. Carmen has done a lot of tattoo history stuff, more so I think with Burke Rim. But another picture of Ralph, doing a tattoo. What's up, Ayahuasca from Kick? Trying to get me more followers. Right on. All right. Thank you, but no thank you. And then here's another cool picture with Ralph. 3 back pieces that he did. As you can see, big, bold tattoos. Pretty awesome. So Justin just said pretty cool flash behind him. I think he was talking about this picture here. There you go. And apparently you can find some Ralph flash out there. It's not impossible to find. But Ralph Johnstone and Tatts Thomas had a significant professional relationship, particularly in Chicago's tattooing scene. Johnstone returned to Chicago in the late 1950s and partnered with Tatts Thomas, making a lasting impact on the city's tattoo culture until Johnstone's death in 1960. They worked side by side for Ralph's entire State Street career, which is believed to have lasted most of the tattoo artist lasted until most tattoo artists left in the city in 1963. Now, 63 is when the band came into play. Not the band, sorry. They changed the age of tattooing from 21 to 18. Tatts Thomas worked for many years in Chicago with Ralph Johnstone, who was not only a tattooist but a sideshow banner painter, and you could definitely see the influence of that in his flash. I showed you a couple examples tonight, but if you look them up yourself, man, you could definitely see where there was this banner / sideshow painter look to him. Very cool stuff. Totally dig it, man. That's some flash I would probably like to purchase myself if I had the cash. Large portraits of both Tatts Thomas and Ralph Johnstone are displayed in Nick Colella's Great Lakes Tattoo Shop, indicating their historical importance. Both artists tattooed on the 400 block of South State Street, where the Harold Washington Library is now located. So another building torn down, another building replaced. Man, I don't think too many people gave a shit about any historical places for tattooing. I think there's plenty of shops out there, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying that, like, if you look at the Bowery, most of those places are gone or I think Wagner's shop, I don't know about now, but at one time, his shop was like a Chinese food place. So, um, you know, the best example I could probably give you that's still standing and going strong is Burke Rims. You know, out there with Carrie Barba, still running it. Different name and stuff like that. But so she's still holding strong in that building, though. Um, while much of Ralph Johnstone's flash has survived, showcasing its considerable artistic skill, Thomas's flash is less commonly found. It was not uncommon for Ralph Johnstone's paintings to be credited to Tatts Thomas in newspapers and men's magazines, highlighting Thomas's broader public recognition at the time. So Ralph was putting out some cool paintings and stuff like that, and Tatts Thomas was getting all the love. I'm gonna assume that's probably that's a big assumption. Let me back that truck up for a second. I don't think Ralph Johnstone is as highly recognized as a lot of other tattoo artists. Um, you know, I don't what is going on with my mic here. Um, let me fix this. That's not embarrassing. Jesus. Almost lost my mic. Anyway. Stay. Okay. I know. So professional, right? Anyway, yeah, so where was I? I don't think that Ralph got as much love as he should have. But there could be, hundreds of tattoo artists out there that don't get the love. You know what I mean? I'm looking at some of these. Give me 1 second. I'm going to mute this mic so I don't pop it in your ears. That wasn't embarrassing. Good God, man. It was it's the type of boom mic that clamps to a table, and it's clamped to the edge of my desk, and apparently I must have knocked it while we were setting up, and yeah, it was getting ready to go for a run. So let's get to some of the comments, man. I mean, we got people hanging out with us, and I don't. This Wednesday night thing is more about us hanging out with you guys. So got a bunch of congrats at the beginning. Thank you guys so much for the love. Like I said, we couldn't hit the 3,000 without you guys. Much appreciated, man. We got Fat Cracker, Shake City Blasted hanging out with us. Got Justin Smet. Got Drag hanging out for as long as he can. It's probably getting ready to fall asleep over there in Spain. Sarah said, I like the style of those too. Yeah, right on. I mean, his flash is pretty freaking awesome, dude. Moderator Nikki said, I love the thick lines and bright minimalist colors. Fat Cracker said, I love the gorilla. Yeah, dude, that's a pretty badass gorilla, dude. Let's go back to that, man. So there you go. Pretty awesome. Love the gorilla. So Dandy Dick hanging out with us for the first time tonight, man. Got Gibby from Conquest. We got my homie over there from Kick hanging out with us, trying to get me to get more followers on Kick, which is cool, whatever. Flash Bold will always hold. We got Irish hanging out with us, just stopping in. About since the 90s, we are the generation that truly cared about history of shops, etc. Dandy Dick said, dude, if it weren't for folks like you guys, a lot of the legendary era would be forgotten. Now some of the love for that foundation of the industry is coming back around, and I hope it does, man. I Really, really do hope it does because I love it, man, and it'll just keep me going. So, uh, Justin Spett said no, he really isn't because this is the first I've heard of him. So there you go. And Justin's been around a while tattooing. William Dean, know the story behind his neck panther? I do not. Let it rip, man. Tell us about it. I'd love to hear it. All right, so we're pretty much caught up. But yeah, man, digging those colors and stuff, dude. You can definitely tell American traditional, but you can definitely tell that he was doing some kind of other paintings while he was tattooing. So yeah, obviously, um, going back to him and Tatts Thomas, I brought it up again about the picture. I think it was because I kept trying to put it back in there so I could dig, and I dug and dug and dug and could not find that picture to save my life. Yeah, so that's kind of what I have. I also wanted to go over his notable flash designs and artistic style because to me that's pretty much the most important part that drew me to him. Just double checking here. Ralph Johnstone's flash designs were highly regarded for their distinctive quality of composition, style, and color. His unique watercolor style was a hallmark of his work. Johnstone's designs are often included pinups and military themes, among others. These designs are considered to representative of his entire body of work. Sets of his flash typically comprised 8 full-color sheets. His artwork is still available in various forms today, including sets of 10 fine art prints measuring 11 by 14. You can, like I said, you can get them on Tattoo Archive. I think had some for sale. There was some on eBay. They're around. These prints are often sourced from collections of vintage tattoo flash, such as those curated by Britton McFetteridge. These prints are produced on watercolor gauge paper using archival inks, ensuring their longevity and quality. Then, you can find a bunch of stuff on Pinterest, obviously. But his flash art is considered iconic and notable within the tattoo community. His prints are available through various platforms, catering to tattooers, artists, and collectors. So there you go. The gorilla is more an illustration than a tattoo. Yeah. I don't, but that Jesus piece on his head looks pretty dope. Yeah, do I have that picture? I don't remember if not, I'll pull that up. I thought I included that, but it doesn't look like I did. Yeah. Let me see if I can find that for you guys. I think that I didn't have it because I couldn't find one that wasn't watermarked. But I'll share this for you guys. Let's do it this way. So this way I don't. Boom. Okay. That'll make it easier. So this way I don't get any copyright strikes or whatever. So remove from scene. And I don't know what the hell I did with it. Sorry. There you go. So there you go. That is the picture in question. That's the only one I could find that wasn't watermarked, or it had some kind of like tattoo archive or whatever across it. I know people get pissy about stuff like that, so uh, I didn't include it originally with my stuff. But he said I don't, but that Jesus, yeah, okay. So you know what, William? That's something I would definitely look into, though. I'll try to see if I could dig into that. I also would be into seeing if I could find any more tattoos. Those ones that I showed tonight were pretty much the only ones I could find. We talk about this a lot, man, where, you start digging into some of these older characters. Uh, the information's just not there. Definitely the pictures are not there. But his grandpa being a part of the Wright brothers clearly had influence on his art. Loved the skulls and the pilot helmets. Yeah. Justin Smith said, "Thank you, Buck, for bringing him to light for us. Thank you for hanging out with us. It's my mission to dig up. Probably not a good use of words. It's my mission to bring information up to you all. That sounded better. That on some of the lesser known artists that we really can't do a full episode on. This is going to be my game plan going forward, I think, for Wednesday nights. Unless something crazy happens, like, something big in the tattoo world pops off, then, we'll use that time wisely on a Wednesday night. But it's typically going to be here for the, the duration with this kind of stuff. We'll save this Sunday night stuff with Justin and I for the stuff where I can have a little bit more banter back and forth, whether it's tattoo news. We'll even do tattoo history there. We're going to revive, I think, the, tattoo movie stuff. I probably should have popped that last week when we were talking about the Russian prison tattoos. Fat Cracker had brought it up about the Mark of Cain. Ironically enough, there was a woman that put something in the comments that brought up the Mark of Cain as well. So that, I think trying to utilize some of the film stuff that's out there in the YouTube world, we should probably do that again. I thought that was a pretty good segment for everybody. We'll see what happens. Please cover some Hong Kong old timers. Dude, I definitely will. I promise you. I started to go down. Now, Justin is very versed in Japanese, Asian tattooing. Very well versed. Once I started to kind of go down that rabbit hole, him and I started to go over some notes. He gave me some books to look at. I realized, man, this is a huge, huge undertaking. I'm not saying that, U.S. tattoo artists or UK tattoo artists are an easier, find or whatever, but there's just so much. And I really feel like in order for me to do that properly, I want to be 100% accurate on not that I always try to be accurate. You guys know that. And if I don't know, I love, I always say that, hey, I don't know, or this is my interpretation, right? I also got the impression that there are some serious hardcore fans of Japanese, Chinese, Asian, Filipino tattooing, that if you mess up, they're going to call you out quick. So I want to make sure I'm on point with all that stuff. But we're getting there, man. We're getting there. Slowly but surely, dude. Today I did a video of a tattoo design I drew from my Halloween flash sheets. There you go, man. William Dean said, interesting tattoo history here. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and welcome to hanging out with us on Wednesday nights, man. It's always good to see new people in here. We got you and Dick Dandy in here tonight. Just in America, there's a huge history, a lot not even documented. Yeah. So that's another thing. Sharky and I talk about that in the interview I did with her, about so much of it being word of mouth and not written down. So I think that some of that stuff is starting to come out of the woodwork now, though. I think there's older guys that have been around a long time that are starting to document stuff. And I would say that probably from like the 70s forward is going to be a little easier pull for information. But there's still some, people, believe it or not, Tennessee Dave, man, working on doing that episode. And Bab is helping me out a lot, or he plans on helping me out. But, as well known as he was in more modern times, there's not a lot of info out there about him as well. Island Governor's documentaries were great. Stoney's always my favorite. Yeah, dude, for sure. I think that the thing that I love the most about the Stoney St. Clair movies, besides his tattooing stuff, is just his personality shining through. And you could tell that little dude was using the gift of gab, knew the humor to get around maybe some uncomfortable situations. Being a handicapped little dude, from what I understood, he took no shit, and he was pretty much a little badass. So he had bikers in and out of his shop all the time, dude. He was carrying and stuff like that. So I just thought it was real cool to see his personality. I think that that's the one piece, if I could ever say, have a time machine as far as this channel goes. You can read as much as you want about some of these tattoo artists. You can even kind of maybe take a little dive into their soul by their artwork. But, without hearing them, seeing their different gestures or, little tics that they might have, I would love to know some of those things about some of these people, especially the more colorful, more, storytelling type of people. Those are the ones that I would really like to see speak in person. And obviously that's not going to happen. Not in my day and age anyway. Maybe there'll be a time machine at some point, but I'll be long gone by that time. It was underground and it was good like this. I think you're onto something, Drag. That seems to be a common conversation these days on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, where they, there's a lot of people out there that liked it better when it was more underground and not as many people were getting tattooed or whatever. And then there's the other side of the coin that people love it because, if you're a tattoo artist, you're making money. But I think if you go around right now, there's a lot of tattoo artists who would tell you different. Justin just said, yes, Buck, 60s and 70s up is a lot easier and more documented. That is for sure. For sure. Irish said, I worked at Angela Park in Drums, PA in the 80s. Wish I would have gotten into ink back then. Yeah. Pennsylvania has a pretty storied tattoo history as well. And I'm not talking about Philly, because obviously Philadelphia Eddie, Jack Dracula, Sailor Eddie, and Esther, very storied history in Philadelphia. But it was pretty good in Western PA as well. I mean, I have full intentions on heading out to Pittsburgh to meet up with Tim Azinger, who owns the Tattoo History Museum in Pittsburgh. And he has the Hank Savini exhibit. Now, Hank Savini, huge name in tattooing, especially for tattooers. There might be a little bit more name recognition because of his I guess it was his brother, Tom Savini. Is it his son or is his brother? I'd have to look it up. I think it was his brother. But Tom, he was in a bunch of horror movies from dusk till dawn, and he was known in the movie world as a special effects makeup guy. So the personality is very substantial part of our job in a street shop. Amen. That's how I got the nickname Dandy. One of my favorite aspects of tattooing. Just one ingredient of the experience. And that's what I say all the time, man. So you just hit a home run. I don't even know you, but I like you. Because, dude, it is all about the experience, man. For me. Now, there's probably plenty of people out there that have no qualms about their tattoo artist just plopping some headphones on. They plop headphones on. They both jam out to their own music and just go. There's people out there that have no problem with that. I guess it comes from the time when I started getting tattooing in the early 90s. The experience is just as much, its importance is just as much as the tattoo itself. I want to have good conversations. If it wasn't for good conversations while getting tattooed, I wouldn't even be here with this channel. So that ought to tell you something. Because it was my love of not only getting tattooed, but hearing stories while I got tattooed of tattoo artists from the past. And then as that started to snowball, I started to look into local people that were, our local legends or even bigger. Obviously Philadelphia Eddie, huge. Sailor Eddie, huge. I'm actually on a mission right now with, so this little town I grew up, they had a county fair every summer. And there was always this old guy that was there tattooing out of this little travel trailer. Now, today, as a 50-something-year-old man, I would not even think about doing some shit like this. But as a kid, I really wanted to get in there and get tattooed. But even though it was the late 80s, early 90s, they were still checking for ID. Your parent had to sign for it. And there was no way in hell my mom was letting that happen. My mom has pretty much given up hope at this point. But she doesn't mind them now, I should say. Yeah, back then that was not going to happen. And I've tracked down 2 names. And believe it or not, one of my buddies that I grew up with, that I played football with, him and his brother, both got tattooed by him when they were 15 and 16 years old. So, yeah, man, I'm getting ready to track that down, which is going to be cool. It's probably not going to mean anything to you guys, but for me, it's going to be awesome. I've been trying to track that dude's name down for years. Justin said, I like talking to people. Tattooing makes it an easier process personally. There you go. You don't feel stressed when talking while tattooing. Irish said, I need a good convo. If not, I'm studying their style. There you go. Justin talks about it all the time, man. There were dudes that were local in this area and in Philly that, man, if you were checking out what they were doing while you were getting tattooed, they would spin you around, dude, so you couldn't look. They were very protective of what they were doing. So I never had that experience, but Justin said he remembers it. Yeah, but I never had that problem. I guess because they knew I wasn't even thinking about being a tattoo artist or whatever. But yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I think that's going to be one of those, if I actually do track down the whole information, I think that from what I understood already, that old guy's probably passed away. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd like to make like a cool 30-minute documentary about that or something and just kind of retrace some steps. For me, it'd be kind of cool. But we'll see what happens, man. What's up, Mondo? You're never late, dude. You're here. That's all that matters. I appreciate you. But yeah, man. So hopefully we can get some of that going and get that done. But I'm also, as I always tell you all, if you have somebody that you want us to cover, and if I could do it, I will definitely do it. So, don't be afraid to email me, info tattoosinreview@gmail.com, for your ideas for people to cover on these Wednesday nights. Or, hell, man, I think there's a couple people in here that have already done it. If you got a cool tattoo you just did or just got, email it to me, man. We'll throw it up on screen, dude, and let people see it. We'll talk about it. I'm not going to critique it, but we'll talk about it. Always love seeing people's new tattoos, man. Still trying to wrap up details for my trip to California. That's gonna be cool, man. I'm actually gonna meet up with Fat Cracker. We're gonna shoot a couple things for his LA tattoo tours, and then he was kind enough to offer me a ride to one of my interviews, possibly. We'll see how that goes, man. I'm trying not to hammer out too many of the details before, because you know what, man? Then I start getting all like squirrel-headed about it. I either start getting nervous or I start forgetting shit. So, I got ADHD where I gotta add a little piece every, once in a while, dude. It's gotta be a slow feed. Well, if I overload too much, dude, I get sidetracked, lost, boom, and then shit doesn't get done. So, hopefully that'll be cool, though, man. I'm looking forward to that. Justin said in the 90 street shops in Fond du Lac, they never cared if you watched Getting Tattooed. Was with my mom when she got tattooed. There you go. Danny Dick, I'd love to see you and Justin do a documentary. I'd love to do one in the evolution of machines and equipment. Yeah, man. That would be really cool, because I think that Shane Enholm would be a really good source for that, to help me out with that anyway. Another person that's very well versed in that area is Mike Schwagert. I know he would be more than happy to help me out if I had questions, so that could be definitely one that'd be worth doing. It's not showing me the email address book. I could show you quite a few I've done. Yeah, man. Here, dude. I'll type it into chat for you. Boom. There you go. That's my email address. So, 1.5 from LA. You'll love it there. Pink's Hot Dogs is a must, bro. Yeah, I don't know how much sightseeing I'm going to get to do, because I've already got a couple interviews already set up. So I guess it's going to matter if, Baba wants to drag my fat ass out after he closes the shop or whatever. So we'll see. Our moderator, Nikki, said I'm a list maker because I'm nervous with travel. There you go. I don't know, man. I probably should do that, but like I said, if I start to overload myself, I get too forgetful or I get all like wound up. So, I'm just looking forward to it, man. I'm gonna actually be doing some stuff while I'm out there for TAM, the Tattoo Artist magazine. So there'll be some stuff getting done out there for that as well. But a lot of cool stuff coming up this year, man. It's going to be a good year, dude. Mike is definitely awesome in that field. I've seen every interview he's done, I think. Hopefully you watched ours, Andy Dick. Justin said I did a small tattoo talking about the different machines, but I didn't go into the history of them. But the rotary was first before the coil. Who's getting the pinup girl on the back of the shirt tattooed on them with me? Yeah, dude. Fat Cracker said he's doing it, man. The back of our shirts, for maybe you that have not seen it, There you go, man. That's the back of our shirts that we got in our Shopify store. Uh, Fat Cracker said he's getting that tattoo. So I'm looking forward to seeing it, dude. Hopefully it turns out cool. But yeah, man, those are our shirts, and on the front of those shirts we got the two fat guys in a tattoo shop logo. It's a comic strip version of me and Justin sitting at the desk. So yeah, those are some pretty cool shirts, man. They're on our Shopify store if anybody's looking for them. We also have the newer version of the Tattoos and Review shirts. So if anybody's looking for shirts, we got them. We also got hats and stuff there as well. I'm not trying to hawk my shit, but I think that's pretty much all I got for tonight for the Ralph Johnstone thing, man. I know it was a little lacking in the info department tonight, but sometimes it's gonna be not as much info as you want. Not much you can do about it, especially when you're doing stuff on the fly like this, man. Too much taxes for Europe. Yeah. So let me say something to Drag. For you, if you wait until the new year, I'm thinking about switching up a bunch of that stuff. The designs and stuff won't change, but prices and whatever, because me using this print on demand company, I've dropped the prices as low as I can go without being a negative. So I found somebody local that might make it a decent amount cheaper for shirts. So we'll see what I could do. That's on my list for the beginning of the year to try to get out of that print on demand bullshit. But yeah, man, if you're in here right now and you have a channel, so Justin, Fat Cracker, whatever, put it in the chat so people could see. Yeah, dude, so I sold a bunch of those chubby pinup girl shirts when I was in Reno, and I traded with some people as well. Man, instead of me buying a shirt off them buying a shirt off me, we were just like, here, we traded up. So there's a couple of them floating around out there. Me and Justin wear ours on occasion. Fat Cracker's got his chubby pinup girl shirt. There's a couple floating around out there, but you never know, man. Those could be worth something. They're the first runs. Just saying. There you go. I just ordered stickers. First purchase for promo. Cool. There you go. Justin Smet on YouTube. That's his channel. Fat Cracker's got his channel going. Irish has his channel going. So we got a couple YouTubers in here hanging out with us tonight. We got a couple people hanging out on Kick tonight, which is awesome. Thank you, Kick crowd. We only have a couple of you. I know that I'm not doing that well over there in Kick land, but I appreciate you hanging out with us. Always a pleasure. And so Justin is doing flash and tattoo videos. Irish is doing day in the life of and history stuff and tattoo stuff. So check those guys both out. And again, we're here to actually promote, Sarah on Instagram with 10 p.m. Creations. Check out some of the stuff that she does. She does some cool, I don't know what I would call them. She finds dead animals on the side of the road and makes art out of it. It sounds way worse than it is. Trust me. The stuff that she makes is cool as hell. You should definitely check her out on Instagram. 10 p.m. Creations. And then Fat Cracker has LA tattoo tours. He's got his Instagram up. I think I got... Yeah, let me pull that up for you. So we got Chris Hawkins that does his Ohio laser and cutting. But then we also got Fat Cracker on Instagram, LA Tattoo Tours. So if anybody's in LA who's looking for a tour from historic tattoo shops to tattoo shops, Fat Cracker's got you covered. Daddy Dick, there you go. Just got his channel running. So Sarah does she is super creative, man. The stuff that she has on her pages is very cool. I didn't want to make fun of it, but it's just funny to me that how she gets the stuff. She's such a cool chick, and you look at her and you go, there's no way this girl's forging for dead animals. And she is, man, and she makes awesome art out of it. I think it's awesome. Oddity art. There you go, Sarah. I didn't know what to call it. You should definitely check it out, though. 10 p.m. Creations on Instagram. And Danny Dick, I'll have to check out your channel, dude. I'm always looking for, I'm always looking to help other YouTubers. I know how hard it is when you get into this and you start rolling with it. And it takes forever, trust me. But don't give up. Just keep going. You got to be consistent. You got to do your thing. Build it. They will come. I'm living proof of it. We just hit 3,000 subscribers. So, definitely check it out. Anyway, I hope you all have a safe, happy week. I'm going to bounce on out of here. We will catch you all on Sunday for our Sunday night live stream. I appreciate you hanging out with us. I appreciate you being a subscriber to this channel, because without you, I got nothing. I got ungats. So, have a good night, everybody. I'll catch you all later.